for something that just moved in one of these two rooms.
We're documenting a structure that we found last night.
I'll go up to the house, bang on it and say, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Now,
What the fuck was that?
Did you hear that?
I think Brandon was about to tell us about the cemetery experience. You were kind of halfway through it, talking about the what I refer to as a shapeshifter. So you might just kind of touch base with that again, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously, with all of this going on too, like I said, I have no, I do think coincidences are coincidences, but when I talk about whatever this thing was, I think this would probably be about the fifth time I've been doing an interview where everything just shuts down. Like, no idea why. I've had a landline phone that was fully charged go completely dead. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And anyway, yeah, it was about a 3-minute experience where I was just locked onto this thing, and when it took off, it kind of just bolted back out. But I never could tell exactly, even like you said, a shapeshifter or whatever it might be. I just have never been able to put a label on it. It was just not like anything I had ever seen. And you know what, that experience had me really start to wonder about different dimensions and things like that, and what can be right in front of us that we just can't see, that maybe our minds just can't wrap our brains around. And anyway, that was something like an otherworldly experience like I have never had before.
Yeah, that I can imagine. That's I never quite experienced that down there, but just that was you guys had something. Well, there was the last time we were down there, the last night that we were there, we a small group of us took off and went to the cemetery, and then the rest of us stayed back at the campsite at the brother's house on the property there. And they had I was with the group that went to the cemetery, and that was cool. But when we got back, we didn't have any idea what was going on back at the property. You want to talk about that some, Leo?
Yeah, it was Brandon, who in the book you call him BB because of Brendan and Brandon. BB was with me and my sister Renee. We were back in the RV going over some evidence, and all of a sudden, the two dogs on the property, they just started going crazy, and we're like, there's nobody there except for us three on the property. Everybody else is gone, and we're just kind of like, we turned the lights off in the RV on the inside and kind of started watching. And BB looks up and he's like, "There's something over there by the bushes, man." And
Said it was about 20 feet away.
Yeah, not too far from where we were at, but we could see it. And I'm looking around, and he said it's kind of crouched down off to the side of the road. So we jump out of the RV and go after this thing, and it was starting to kind of sprinkle a little bit where the ground was getting kind of wet, and there was not much sound that I heard. However, BB said that he thought he heard some crashes a little bit in the woods. We looked at the spot where this thing was at, and there's two they're huge footprints on the grass where something was standing there, and you can see where the grass was starting to raise up where this thing had just taken off. And the dogs were kind of letting us know, trying to protect us, to warn us of this, whatever we saw out in the woods. We tried to give chase a little bit about that time. That's when the rest of the group came back, and they're like, "What's going on, guys?" And we're, trying to track me through the woods, trying to find this thing. And to this day, I don't know what we saw, but going along with the previous experiences we had down there and what kind of what BB his main focus is the Bigfooting thing. He was pretty sure that's what he saw was the thing known as Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and unfortunately we couldn't cast the actual footprints because the grass was so wet and that the casting material would never take. But it was the darndest thing. I mean, and the previous experience we had down there, the first time we went down there, we saw actual footprints down there, and little shelters where they were these things would
they're
possibly
scattered
hibernate.
everywhere.
Yeah, and just the crashes we heard, throughout our time down there with the rock throwing, the growling,
The knocks.
yeah, just everything. It just goes along with what Bigfoot possibly is. And I'm not sure if you had any ever experiences down there like that, Brandon, to yourself.
Well, it was odd after Jeremiah and I had gotten back from that trip. He had kind of approached me about some audio that he had that he thought was pretty interesting, where you could pretty distinctly hear this. It sounded like kind of a roaring growl sort of a sound. And sure enough, I picked it up several times too, and I picked it up a lot over the years. Specifically, I picked it up 3 times within about 2 minutes of that occurrence I just told you about at the cemetery. And that sound would have probably been very easily described as something pretty stereotypical, like what you would think a Bigfoot is. But the thing is nobody ever heard it audibly. It was always via EVP. And so that again kind of lent to, because I don't know, I never really gave much thought into doing a lot of the Bigfoot stuff. It's not really my thing. But I'm not going to be in denial about the potential that something like that exists. And just in my mind, I would think that it is more like an interdimensional thing, at least for me, which started kind of making sense to me if I'm picking things up through like an EVP type deal that I wasn't able to hear. But I personally didn't encounter anything that I would consider like, a description like that. They hear a lot of loud banging, like wood on wood type banging around. Even their houses would get banged on pretty randomly, which one of the brothers would tell me that it seemed like it would coincide. It was almost like a harbinger of death of some sort. Every time they'd hear these loud bangings, they'd hear about somebody dying, a relative or something like that. And but no, I mean, I can't say that I've personally ever come into contact, or at least that I know of something that would be like a Bigfoot type creature, I guess.
No, that's understandable. We actually have a recording that we hopefully you can hear at home, or you specifically, Brandon. We're gonna play here in just a second. It's what we caught on the very last trip we were down there. We kind of want your take on it.
Sure.
Okay. It should start just any second now. And is it playing?
Haven't heard it yet.
I don't think it's going. Hang on. Sorry. I'm still learning this software.
You're all right, man.
Okay. Oh, there's another way for me to do this. So, but yeah, this was actually captured on the first night we were there, before you and Jared and all your gang got down there that time.
Okay.
And let's see here.
We were out actually in the woods away from camp, and there was nobody at base camp, and we had a recorder going there, and something came through. I'm going to share Jeremiah gets it up and running here in just a second, but it was a very interesting piece that we caught. And I know the very first time that we were down there, Jason, myself, and BB heard the calls, the yelps out in the woods, and we looked at each other like, what the hell was that?
The footsteps to the knocking to the growling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the footprints were the very next day. We saw them everywhere. It's just like, these are definitely not man-made.
At least that's what we assumed it was Sasquatch. It could have
Right.
really been
A mountain man or
something
or whatever.
but you never know.
Yeah.
But
I have this clip ready now.
Okay.
Are you ready, Brandon?
Yeah, fire away, man.
And as soon as my software starts up again,
Go down again.
what? Really? Oh, here it goes.
There we go.
Here it goes.
Were you able to hear that?
I thought I heard just a little bit of whispering here and there, but I wasn't entirely sure. It's kind of hard to get the.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess the.
like Leo said, that clip, and I'll play it again in just a second. That the recorder that caught that clip was sitting in the middle of the campsite, right there in the middle of the circle drive.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all, I think the majority of us were up by the old house. And there actually wasn't, no, actually all of us were up at the old house. The whole group was, because this was only like, what, 20, 30 minutes into the investigation, I think, that first night. So, this recorder sitting on a table back in the camp, and it sounds like, and in the longer, about a 3-minute clip that I have of it, you actually hear some like heavy set footsteps, and then this clip actually, when you listen to it closely, it sounds like breathing, like a heavy, almost a guttural breathing.
Uh-huh.
I'll play it again right quick and get your take on it. See if it makes any more sense to you after that.
Real heavy breathing.
Yeah.
And there's the breathing starting.
Right there.
Yeah.
Did you hear the two prior to that, Brandon?
It's super faint. I'd have to get the actual file.
I can send that to you if you'd like.
Sure.
But
yeah. But no, I thought I had heard. Yeah. I mean, I at least toward the end there, I thought I had heard. I mean, the breathing would definitely translate.
So, but yeah, that was and the whole thing was very when we caught that on that recorder, the whole thing was very surreal, just in the fact that I mean this is where we're sleeping that night,
Right. Right.
and whatever this is just traipsing through our camp, and we're 150 feet away and have no clue about it.
Did I ever play that that scream that I caught while we were down there? Did I ever play that for you?
I don't think I've heard it.
Well, if you had heard it, you'd remember what I'm talking about. That's for sure. Anyway,
I've heard
it
about
was
that.
just, yeah, it was just me and it was one of my solo trips. No, I'm sorry. There were a couple people there with me. I had brought Colleen and one other girl down there, so just to kind of show them the ropes and everything. And we were sitting with Marvin by the fire, and down near what was Gerald's house, right at the wood line, there was this scream that was so loud. The only recorder I had running at the time, and thank God I'd had it running, but it was in the old house. We're talking what 100 yards or so.
Right.
Well, it picks it up as though somebody's screaming, like it was that clear. Like it's almost as though somebody's screaming right into the mic in that old house. Like it was that powerful. And I tried to,
Wow.
when we chased it down, because there was nobody there. Nobody's walking around out there. And so I bolted down where it came from. And when we got down there, and Marvin grabbed his shotgun, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But anyway, so I got down there and I tried to replicate it. I gave it as good a yell as I could possibly give it, and when I played it back on my recorder, the best I had was a fraction of what it was. I mean, it was so loud, and it just sounded like what we kind of thought, maybe like what jumped into my head was almost like a war cry. Like when you hear, like, you watch the Cowboys and Indians movies and you hear the Indians and they're doing the war cry, and that's kind of what it came across to me as a little bit. But anyway, nobody was there. I mean, we searched the place, top to bottom and everything else. And so I don't know what it was. A lot of people will hear it and they'll say, "Oh, it's an animal or something." If it was an animal, it was a giant freaking animal. I don't know what it was.
Well, on one of the ones we caught on the Yelps and stuff like that, we heard from the very first trip we went out there, we cross-referenced it against actual animals to see if maybe it was, there's wild boar running up there. There's, of course, bears. There's things of that nature up there in the Ozark Mountains. But the closest thing we could get to even replicating that was a silverback gorilla.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure not up in those mountains. There's no silverback gorillas running around at that part.
No,
So,
I think that's safe to say.
And so I'm not going there anymore. I can tell you that much. So. But,
I don't know what it was, man. It was insane.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that place comes alive and it lets itself be heard, basically.
I know if I would have heard that prior to the next 3 nights having to sleep out there, I'd have a whole different outlook.
I was sleeping outside on that trip.
Yeah.
I was laid out on the ground by the campfire.
I was passed out. I was snoring. So.
One of our second trips we went out there, I know you had just left to go back to your home with your crew, and you'd been gone maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that, and our intentions were to stay the night out there again. And this is Rose's first trip out there with the infamous Stuck in the Mud, which we need to ask you about your mud
Oh yeah.
in just a second here. But we were out there, and we were down by the campfire, which is closer towards the middle of the property. And Jeremiah and I got thirsty when we went back to the house, the remaining house that stands. We walk in, do our thing, and Jeremiah grabbed me. He's like, "Hey man, look." I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" We had a DVR running that night. We had cameras all over the property. We had a camera facing the oldest brother's back, his room from the outside looking in. And he goes, "Hey, that camera's gone, man. It's not on, whatever." I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I'll go outside and check it out and see what's going on." So Jeremiah walks around and comes kind of like hustling in, He's like, "Dude, come check this out." I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" He goes, "Just come look." So I walk back there with him, and our camera cord was cut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a phone call about that.
We called him right away. We're like, "What is going on?" And remember,
like I didn't touch it. I swear to God.
No, we found out at about 2:30 in the morning it got cut by something, and we looked for tracks, and it doesn't look like it's an animal cut of any sort. It looks like a knife cut, but it's a clean snip.
Right.
The problem is there's no way up that mountain except for the front way, mostly, that we can think of. So nothing came past us onto the property.
Yes, it came from the creek.
Yeah, it came from back for where the caves, that way, and we to this day have not been able to figure out what in the hell that was. I mean, it's just the most incredible thing we've ever seen. But it also, and if it's a person, we're thinking, well, why cut the cord and not take the camera? I mean, we have a $200 camera sitting right there, in plain view.
Right.
And nothing, it makes no sense. I mean, like I said, the
Right.
place is incredible. It just has a mind of its own. That's all I can say.
I don't think I left Jeremiah's hip that night after that. That was like the second time I've ever met him.
With that being said, that was Roth, Mr.
Yeah,
AKA
sorry,
Mud
that was
Truck.
Roth.
You had a story you wanted to
Right.
tell us earlier. What was your story about the mud?
Oh God, we had poor Jared. We used to go to this place called Hans Mill. It's about probably a 45 minute drive from Kansas City out in Cameron, Missouri. And there had been a massacre that took place a long time ago. And anyway, we had just kind of, thought it was a pretty cool place. So we'd just go out there and do a little investigating and things like that. And it was pretty ominous. And but anyway, it was the first night he and I had gone, and little did we know, we were taking this old dirt road, and it was flooded. It was nasty. It was, just mud. And I was still driving that little white Kia, my little Warrior car. And this, oh God, that car.
That car had a war cry of its own.
Oh my God, it sure did. And somehow we made it back, but we ended up having to hike down about a mile and a half down the rest of this muddy road. So just to do our investigation. And so when it was time to leave that night, and we had kind of gotten a little bit spooked. We started hearing growling and stuff like that. But out there, we were talking mountain lions and everything else. And anyway, it was one of those quick step walks down the road back to the car. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't strolling at that point. And
It's
so sure
one
enough,
of those points where you're not even really trying to be macho about it. You're just trying to get the hell out of there.
That's right. And the only thing that I was holding on to was that I'm faster than Jared. So we start pulling out, and we're driving down this road. And of course, during our investigation, we found a really dry, nice, smooth dirt road that goes right up to where we were going. All it would have required was a turn about a mile back, and we just kept going into the mud. Anyway, I got that thing stuck. Like I could. The water, I don't know, was about 2 inches from actually coming into the doors, and sure enough, Jared just, God bless him, he just got out and he just starts pushing, and I'm just spinning wheels. He's getting sprayed. He ended up walking me out of that thing that night, and he was covered head to toe. And like I said, man, I'm a lucky dude. Like he's pretty hardcore, like you said. Well, and it was just funny when you mentioned that truck getting stuck down there, and he's just like, damn it, and because he knows he's getting sent.
Right.
I'm like, you do this. This is what you do, and he did. And he's a clever dude, though. He's got me out of a bunch of pickles. So I don't hardly go anywhere without Jared. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a good guy to have in your back pocket, so I agree with that.
No doubt. Well, what was really cool is like when he and I started working together, he didn't have a lot of like paranormal interest and things like that. But when my brother and I were just kind of talking to him, we just set up a meet and greet, and he started it's always been like, he's just a passionate dude. He's just a happy dude, and he's a hard worker. He will work his butt off, but he fell in love with the idea, I think, of the adventure side of it. And but it was kind of cool because I was perfectly happy with the fact that he wanted no part of asking questions. He wanted no part of doing the actual, he wants to point a camera, he wants to run equipment and everything else. And there's been several times he kind of got to the should have brought a change of pants and but no, he and I clicked real easy, real quick, and we've been pretty much right next to each other since. So he's as good as it gets. He's a hardworking guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to be running out of time here fairly soon, but so one is there a question circulating? Okay, Rose has a question for you.
Hey, this is Rose. I got to ask you a question. You know, I've met Marvin a couple times. Has he
Yeah.
ever given you an Indian name?
Other,
His own name?
other than dumbass? No.
Okay. I just wondered. We were sitting around the campfire one night, and he started giving us Indian names, and I just thought that was interesting. So I didn't know if he'd ever done that.
No. He's he's about as dry as it gets. Obviously, he's just a real stoic dude. And if you didn't know him, you just think he's grumpy, and he just sits around looking grumpy. But I don't know. I love the guy.
He's an amazing. He's awesome. I mean, I nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah, for sure. No, he didn't call me many names other than stuff I probably won't want to repeat.
Right. Yeah, I think I got called a few of those through the years too, so I know what you mean. Do you have any other projects in the works that you can talk about?
I'm trying my hand at fiction, and I understand why writers chop their ears off and stuff.
Cool.
And so no, I am. I'm putting together that project, which is just super slow going, but I feel like it's going to be pretty amazing when it's all said and done. As far as field work right now, not really a whole lot. Just the day job and the family and the writing and everything just kind of keeps me busy. But I've got a few potential projects kind of locked down. I think next year I may get a little bit more. I guess I may get a little bit more forward about getting back out into the field. But I'll be honest, man. When I wrote that last book and that project, it kind of took a lot out of me, like physically and mentally and everything else. So I've really been kind of taking it easy for the most part. But I'll be back out there for sure.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that. I totally understand. I had to do that for a while myself, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, some people like have to make a spectacle of it. I'm retiring. I'm not doing this anymore. Well, it's like, I'll take a break. I don't need to announce it to the world, I mean, because it does. It's a tough gig. I mean, it's hard work and it takes a lot out of you, and you do. Once in a while, you got to recharge. You got to step away for a minute, and you got to just, get yourself centered before you kind of move forward. But to me, it's just, I think it's a necessity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, buddy, I think we're gonna let you go. Does anyone else have anything else?
I just want to say, people at home, if you haven't had a chance to pick up the books, definitely pick them up.
I'll throw those back up here.
They're great reads. They're all, like I said, 100% true stories. Stuff that all of us, have been taken part of at some point, possibly. And then also check Brandon out on. He also was on Mysteries of the Outdoor about a month or two ago.
Oh yeah.
We had the pleasure of talking about what happened down in the Mark Twain National Forest.
Yeah, talk about awkward. Like, I don't like cameras in my face, and sure enough, I don't know, a little awkward, but it turned out well. They did a good job.
Yeah,
but I appreciate you guys, and anytime, like, I'm always down with hanging out, and I need to come down and check out the tours and everything, and but anytime you want to get together, anytime you want to do this, let me know. I'm always up for it.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to have you back many times on this in the future, or anytime you want on, just let us know. We get you on too. So
yeah,
cool. I know this is a question that gets asked all the time. What's the future on that property? It's a legal thing. I can't really get into it, but it's not turning out so well, unfortunately. But anyway, I can't really talk too much in detail about it. There's some legal stuff going on. Not me, thank God, but it's a little bit in flux right now. I mean, I'd love to see it stay in their family and everything. I don't know. I truthfully can't answer that question accurately. I certainly don't want to speculate. Well, I appreciate it. How's Marvin doing? Have you talked to him?
It's been a little while. It's been a little while. That's also a story for another time, I think. But for the most part, he's doing pretty well.
Good.
And I talked to Annette still here and there. Haven't really heard much from Gerald in quite some time. He was very sick.
Yeah.
And so, but now I haven't heard from him in quite a while. He was not doing so well the last time I saw him. But yeah, you try to, I keep in touch with a lot of people I've worked for and with, and, you definitely try to keep in touch. These are situations that you all experience together and you're kind of bonded because of it,
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, buddy, we're starting to run a little bit over our time, but
right,
thank you so much for coming on here. Hey, if you get the chance on Halloween night, log on for our Halloween special.
Cool. I will. I'll definitely. I see you guys putting everything up. It looks awesome, and I'm glad you guys are doing this. So, I'll get in touch. We'll be gonna get together here soon too. So
Absolutely.
I'll come down that way. But yeah, thanks everyone for checking it out, and thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Anytime, buddy.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Well, that was awesome. It was really good to talk to him again.
We didn't sign off anything, did we?
Nope. No, we're still on. We're still
okay,
live.
okay.
We're live.
All right. Well, that was our interview with Brandon Callahan. We just had. Sorry about people at home with the technical difficulties. Like we talked about, every time we talk about Tahlequah, certain parts, weird shit happens. I mean, it kind of goes in with our what the fuck files or what WTF files.
Yeah.
I mean, it never fails. It's just weird stuff that always happens. Whether it's down there, whether we're talking about it, can't explain it. I mean, and I had personal experiences with it, just even writing my part of the story, and yeah, it's weird.
Do you guys have any things happen from leaving there? No.
I've always felt, and I've often
Did you?
wanted to talk to you sometimes about. I've often felt ever since I left there, like just not weak, not like my body's gone and work, but I've just
It wasn't from falling out of the chair.
a tree. I don't think I was up in a tree. I don't think.
Chair.
Oh, the chair. Yeah. But I that's often made me wonder too. Just if that place does do something to you, being up there the second time. So
Yeah, it's definitely a place that sticks with you, and I don't know I don't know how else to say. I mean, I feel lucky as much time as I spent down there that I mean I never, to my knowledge anyway, had anything follow me around from it, but I do know that every time I left that place, I felt like I could lay down and sleep for about 6 days straight. I was so worn out and beat down, and just from the constant, almost a bombardment. You know what I'm talking about.
it's like you're on guard the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I have my own theories behind coming back from there. I've expressed with the group things that have changed along the way. I feel like the place definitely, like Brandon talked about with his face and stuff like that, kind of not warning you, but kind of giving you like visions, I guess I'll say. But we've kind of all had our, I don't know.
You know what? When I had forgotten about that, he actually did send me pictures of that when that happened, and I had completely forgotten about that. But when he mentioned that a while ago, the first thing that popped into my head was when we were down there last year, after we did that one little ritual, and the one guy that was with us that night, his hand did exactly that. His hand. Sorry, I wasn't meaning to block the camera there, but his hand looked like it was the hand of a 70-year-old.
I don't know about that, yeah. Yeah.
I do remember that now.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that too until you mentioned it. I know he mentioned it to me when we were down there one of those times that he mentioned about the picture and stuff like that. And just, I've never seen him. I would love to see him. I've seen the video and heard the audio of the walkie-talkies he talked about was to help me, and it's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
I've shown some of you guys, and we can show again sometime. I can't show people at home, unfortunately, for copyright reasons, but it's interesting to say. And maybe next time when we have Brandon back on, we'll talk about it. Maybe let us play that, and
Yeah.
we can kind of go over it. But yeah. One time he was in a documentary about it, and he switched directions to do the book instead.
Right.
So maybe one day we'll get that out and about. So. But any final thoughts or anything, everybody? Do we want to talk about anything?
No.
Like I said, once again, just sorry people at home about the feeds. That was,
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the technical issues, but we'll try to have that repaired or fixed so it doesn't happen again in the future. But we'll get it going.
It could be beyond our control.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, there is something to that. Every time that place gets brought up, something happens. I mean, it's just weird. Weird that way.
Yeah, 100%. So definitely. Well, thank you guys again at home. We're gonna wrap up and call it a night.
Halloween night.
Yeah, we'll see you guys back Halloween night at a disclosed time. We haven't had the time yet, do we?
Yeah, no, we haven't had the chance. I was hoping to during some of the breaks to have a chance to nail down the time, but that kind of got eaten up with technical difficulties. So, but yeah, we'll get a time pinned down and get it to you in the next day or so, and look for it because it's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun night.
Definitely. Yep.
So,
All right, guys. Thanks very much. People at home. Yep. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Yeah. Good night. Mike,